Hi, it's Ken again with KenMcElroy.com. So on this third video, we're going to talk about why the right team is key to your investment success. And I think a lot of times people focus on the who as opposed to why they're there or who they are. Not necessarily as a title, but who they are. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this, and because who and why they're there is probably, to me, the most important thing. And I've hired lots of people in my life, hundreds, and I've hired very experienced people. And oftentimes when I get in here and they get into the company and they get into the machine, I find out that they might have all this experience, but they're not a good fit for our company. And normally that has to do with, now what I do almost every single time is hire people based on their attitude. Now, this seems rather obvious, but you'd be so surprised at how many people just get through and they're not good for the company culture. And an attitude can really bring an organization down. The next thing that I focus on, and this has to come through the interview process, is what I call their belief. So there's a lot to this, and we're not going to have time to go through it all here, but their belief in themselves, their belief in the vision, their belief in everything the company's doing, the corporate culture, all that kind of stuff. It's super important. And then the third thing is communication. Here's the interesting thing. This is the most important one, is the attitude. Because with a good attitude, somebody with no experience can develop all of these things. Communication is so important, I can't even stress it enough. Getting together, what we call frequency of interaction, is so important. You have to meet often on your shared goals and all those kinds of things. Now this can go a lot deeper, but for now, these are the things that is so important in finding the right team. Because I can get an acquisition director, a property manager, a construction superintendent. It doesn't really matter what their title is. It doesn't matter if they're 25 years old or 75 years old. These are really important pieces and they're universal. So this certainly isn't an inclusive list, but I can tell you in my early days of hiring, I used to hire based on title and experience. And we had a situation where we hired a construction superintendent, for example, to build an apartment project, and he had the worst attitude. And what happened is all the subcontractors didn't want to work for him. We had a lot of turnover underneath him because he wasn't a very good supervisor, and the employees weren't having lots of fun and they didn't enjoy their work. And he had his own belief system. He didn't, it was all pretty self-serving, and he was a terrible communicator. And that's just one example, and I have hundreds of very poor hires. And as a result, the project was 6 months delayed. It cost us a bunch of money, et cetera, et cetera. So this can happen with a realtor. It can happen with an acquisition guy. It can happen with a property manager. It can happen with anybody. And so these are very basic, but they're very, very important. So I hope you learned a little bit more today about team. If you're ready to start building your team today, become a premium member, where you'll learn exactly who to talk to and what to ask. Click on the button below for access.